Greetings, shooters and reloaders. So today I want to take a few minutes to talk about bullet seating depth and why it's important and how do you know how deep to set your bullet. Now today I'm going to talk primarily about rifle cases, bottleneck rifle cases. And why is seating depth important? Well, if you seat the bullet too far, you decrease your case space in there. That can cause pressures to rise. If you seat it out too far, when the bullet when the cartridge is chambered, the end of the bullet here can hit the end of the throat and actually jam into the lands in the bore, and that too can cause pressures to spike. So if you look in in most loading manuals, it will give you what's called an overall length of what your cartridge should be for specific bullets. So like for instance, if you're using Hornady bullets, you look in the Hornady manual, and for every one of their bullets, they will give you a suggested cartridge overall length. And you can measure that then, using your calipers. And that works just fine. However, if you're really looking for accuracy, the numbers that they give you in the manual, those are SAAMI specs. So that means that cartridge with that bullet can be loaded and used in any rifle chamber of that caliber. But if, let's say you're a long-range target shooter and you're trying to achieve the most accuracy you can out of your rifle and your hand loads, the way you want to do it then is you get your best accuracy by seating the bullet so that the bullet is actually about maybe 2 to 3 thousandths off the lands and grooves. And that space between the bullet and the lands and grooves is called bullet jump. And the less bullet jump you have, normally the more accuracy you're going to achieve. If you have a lot of bullet jump, you're not going to achieve the accuracy. I'm thinking that it's because there's room for the bullet to perhaps wobble a little bit as it leaves the cartridge and before it enters the lands and grooves. But all of your serious target shooters, they'll seat their bullets so it's just maybe a couple of thousandths off the lands and grooves. And there's a tool you can buy for that. It's made by Hornady. It's called the what is it called? Lock and load lock and load overall length gauge. They're like $38–40 roughly. So but I'm going to show you the poor man's method of doing that if you don't have that tool. So you take a cartridge that's been prepped, cleaned, resized, deprimed, all of that, and take a small saw or something. If you have a jeweler's saw, that works best, or a thin hacksaw blade. I don't know if that'll focus, if you can see that. But anyways, I cut a slot in there. Hopefully you can see that. So I cut a slot in there, and then I take the bullet and put it in there and just kind of get it started a little bit, okay? And then put your seating die in the press and run that up there. And you just want to get it started so that it just stays there and that it's nice and straight. Oops, there, I moved it and pulled it out a little. All right, let's try it again. All right, there. So now I've got it started. So now what I'm going to do is take the rifle. And remember now, you're doing this with an unprimed, no powder in the cartridge. And the bullet is just barely staying into the cartridge. And it's got that slot on the side. So now we're going to chamber it. close the bolt. Now, and this only really works on a bolt action. I guess, yeah, you could do it on a semi-auto. You just have to do it gentle so you don't let the action slam shut. But it really works well on a bolt action. So then we open this up. Try not to let that happen. And so what that did was it pushed this bullet back. When the bullet hit the end of the throat and up to the lands and grooves, it pushed the bullet back in a little ways, okay? So now we can take our calipers and we can measure that. And that tells me it's 3.006, okay? So I would, if I was trying to achieve the best accuracy from this rifle, I would then seat the bullet another 2 to 3 thousandths back a little more. And then that is going to give you the least amount of bullet jump before it hits the rifling. And it's going to be, should be the most accurate way of loading with that bullet. So I hope that helps and clears up anything. If you have any questions, let me know. So until next time, shoot straight, keep your powder dry. We'll see you on the range.